were talking about the back door.
Mm-hmm. The back door had all along the I think both the hinge side and the handle side of the door frame was just covered in like nails, old bits of bolts and stuff that used to be old locks that were there. Um, Whenever we moved in, there weren't as many. I think we had to like take some out to be able to actually use the basement door.
Yeah, Grandma had nailed the back basement door shut.
Because it would also just open on its own, even if you locked the the regular ass locks on it. Um, I imagine it was a steady increase of how many locks there were, because I mean it when I say that it was top to bottom just riddled with nails and bolts and stuff like that. And there were times whenever I was down there, especially whenever it was night, that I would hear it start to open or see it start opening in my peripherals, and I would look. It wouldn't look like it'd been opened or anything. And there were other times that it would be open, and I wouldn't have noticed that it had. So I'd have to close it. And I sometimes did open it myself to get to the backyard, but you had to make sure that, if you opened that back door in the basement, you had to go back through that way so you could lock it up again, because otherwise it did open up on its own.
Yeah. I think Dad put like a door jam on it.
Yeah.
But, you said you would go out into the backyard sometimes? I didn't really spend much time back there. What was it like?
Well, the backyard was my domain. That's probably part of the reason. But it was a really beautiful yard. I'll get back to that in another video. But I spent a lot of time back there during the daytime. I had a swing set and a fort built out there, and once we'd brought in all our furniture, I moved out the cot that I'd been sleeping on in Hell House to the backyard to make it even a little more of my own. And a lot of things happened back there, other than just a kid running amok and fucking around.
Yeah.
It got weird.
Hi, Steve. So what was weird about being back there?
Well, there were the for instance, the times where I would take a nap back there on the cot that I brought out next to the fort. So I had a swing set and then a 2-story fort, and I would take naps out there in the spring, fall, whatnot, and I would wake up just covered in bugs. It would not matter the season. It also wouldn't matter if I was awake. Sometimes I would go out there just to chill out, meditate. I tried to meditate a lot back then, and there were a lot of them were moths. There was also a lot of ants, roly-polies, some beetles, definitely some flies. And for some reason, this didn't bother me back then. And when I'm saying covered head to toe, the whole cot would be just colonized by bugs. It's true. You saw it that one time.
I did, and it was creepy.
That was
but it was
time
funny.
I was awake, and I think I was sitting up too.
You were. Yeah.
But that's one instance. There was also, like I said, when the woods would come out of the woods, it wasn't always like, a visual, there's an entity coming out of the woods. especially not whenever it was daytime when you couldn't see the darkness that it would pull with it, whatever it was. It was more like in the Fellowship of the Ring, whenever the road started zooming in.
Yeah.
That would happen a lot over there. Is it would just start coming closer. So that's the two most common things that would happen back there, and the woods would also come at you from like the dead end and other places around the neighborhood, because the whole neighborhood was like encircled by the woods.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for this interview. We shall move on to our next assignment.
Aw, shit.
High five. A 1, 2, 3 Hell House interview. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3
Hell House interview. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, so I'm back here with my brosif. We're talking about some more experiences in Hell House.
Ooh.
Today I'd like to know about what you experienced with the man in the bowler hat.
I tried not to experience him. Unlike what you did trying to, face him, and unlike my attempts to watch out the back window, I tried my best to keep my perception of the bowler hat man not. I kept my door shut, but you could still see like the light underneath it, and sometimes there would be a shadow there, like someone was standing there, but no one would be. Like either people were in bed, they were in other rooms, but there wouldn't actually be anyone there. And I could still feel like almost exactly where he would be standing outside the door.
Yeah, that's why I kept my door open, is because I could absolutely feel him like boring holes through the door.
Yeah, like I could even feel it if I was facing away from the door. It was like boring through your spine. But personally, since I tried to avoid him as much as possible, I didn't really have that many direct experiences with him. Like at most, whenever my door would be open at the night times, I could see a figure standing there. I never got as much detail with him or a few others in the house. Probably because I made the decision to start closing my door pretty quickly on, and tried to keep the closet door closed also for other reasons. But yeah, my experience with him has always mostly just been no sir, no sir.
Okay, so why did you keep your closet door shut?
Because a while after we first settled in and got all our stuff moved into our rooms and all that, something started visiting me in the night, and it would come out of the closet. When I was awake, I would be able to see the impression of something at first just squatting inside the closet, and then it would start rising, and it was kind of like whenever you look at a bright light and then you see that kind of weird little impression in your vision. It looked kind of like that, and it would start getting kind of bigger and then more blurry and then harder to see. But then I would start feeling intense fear. And while I was asleep, I started having really bad nightmares, and sometimes I would wake up, screaming and writhing in completely obnoxious positions in the bed. Like, one time I was like only a third of my body was still in bed, and the rest of me was like trying to claw its way out of one of the openings and through the ladder.
I actually think I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. And there would also be times where I wouldn't be able to move. Didn't matter if I was lying on my back or anything like that. It did get worse on my back. It would feel like something was crushing me. And I would get the impression more in my head, but that way much more vividly. I would be able to picture this thing sitting on me, looming over my face, and just watching as it did whatever it was doing on there. I did have dreams of its appearance now and then. I'm never gonna forget it.
So, what did the white thing look like?
Well, starting with the texture, it was kind of like a solid-ish smoke. And it had the kind of quality of like a really old painting, kind of a rough edges and grainy texture. The body was really light and pale in skin tone, and that seemed to be what it was trying to emulate, because it also had like signs of a really gaunt figure, like the sunken in parts in the arms and the ribs. But at the same time, the flesh looked like wrappings on like mummies and the like. And most of the times whenever I was awake and perceiving it, it didn't have much of a face. It was just a head with very slight imprints into it where there should have been, eyes and a mouth. In my dreams, though, it was a female. And it had, really dark, scraggly hair and huge, bulging eyes. And...
Wait a minute. I used to dream about that chick. I have a drawing of me attacking her because she gave me too many nightmares. I can show that picture later.
Yeah, yeah. I had one drawing of her that I did too, and I don't know if I have it anymore, but I could probably copy it down pat, because like I said, I will never forget what it looked like. But if you've had dreams about her too, and I'm gonna know right now that even after we moved out of that house, she followed me. I'm guessing it's she then.
Yeah.
But I saw her in the next place we lived in, which was an apartment. I saw her in the next place we lived in, which is the house. What do we call that one?
Hot house.
The hot house.
Yeah.
And still kind of deal with her here now. Hello.
Yep, she lives in there now.
Yeah. We're a little cool now. Not like, besties or anything, but she doesn't mess with me as much anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen her mess with you, because I did used to be able to see her too when we shared a room, but...
Very solid presence.
Yeah. So, were there any other entities that you had daily experiences with in Hell House?
Yes, there was one that was most often in the basement. It typically lived underneath the stairs, which you could get access to technically through the laundry room. But it was, filled with a bunch of laundry, as well as like boxes of stuff and junk like that. So people couldn't really get into it unless you felt like clambering up into old ass clothes and a shit ton of cobwebs. But there was something underneath those stairs about the size of a person that liked to settle about like so.
Yeah.
And it would crawl out of there and go up the stairs, where it would explore the house, and it loved to chase anything that was down there with it up the stairs. And this wasn't something that you could always see, but you could almost always feel and hear it coming.
Yeah.
It came with its own steps, and sometimes even, like, I don't know if it was a breeze or it breathing, but there was significant air movement where it went. And there would be some times where I would be in the middle of, doing something on the computer or playing on my drums, and suddenly I would hear the shuffle and the clutter of it coming out of the laundry room, and I would have to bolt up, and I would hear it thumping after me, right behind me.
Yeah, it had weight.
And there was one or two times where I would go in there, sit up on the washing machine or dryer, whichever one was it, and stare it down. Don't do that with any kind of spooky creature like that. Don't do that. You know what that is to them? Oh la 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 la, I'm a piece of meat, come get me, come get me.
Yeah, it usually ended up chasing you back up, right?
Yeah,
probably not a good idea.
Yeah, don't.
And the crawler wasn't just in Hell House, it was in all of the houses in that neighborhood. So I don't know what it was. So I found a bunch of videos that my dad had filmed in Hell House that I was going to share with you guys. But no matter how hard I try with any programs, they won't let me open it or upload it to anything, not even YouTube. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to share these videos with you guys, but I'll figure something out. Something's going on. There's no reason these videos shouldn't be able to share. So I think the house is trying to keep you guys from being able to see it. Oh well, fuck that house, I'll win. I forgot that there's more to what Hell House is doing. So the other day, as I posted, I went to the LDS temple to meditate, and my husband was driving, and he's typically an extremely good driver, but it took us almost an hour and a half to get to the temple, which is only 20 minutes away, because he kept getting sidetracked by traffic that pushed us to Hell House, like directly to the street that Hell House is on. And there were people trying to run us off the road and pushing us to take the exits that we didn't need to take, and it led us back to Hell House instead of the temple. And I flipped it off and said, fuck off, I'm never coming back, you can't get me. I'm never ever moving back even to that neighborhood. So it can try all it wants to force us to drive there, but all we did was turn around and leave and go where we were trying to go. We didn't have any more issues once we ended up at the house, and didn't go in. Once it got us there, it seemed to have done what it wanted to do and let us drive normally since after that. But yeah, I thought you should know, just this week Hell House tried to pull me back in. And I'm pretty sure it's upset that I'm sharing all of these stories. And I'm not sure if it's going to be able to reach through TikTok and touch you guys through time and my stories. So if you notice anything happening that is reminiscent of my Hell House stories, please take care. Give yourself a little bit of time before you watch my videos again. Do some protective works and look after yourself, because when I say this place is truly evil and it will hurt you and it will try to get you, I'm not joking, and I would not put it past Hell House to be able to reach through the phones to find more victims. So be warned, if my videos start making you feel weird, I totally understand if you need to take some time. I'm just I have been trying to get these stories out all my life, and they're finally getting some traction on this app. So you should be aware that these stories come with a little bit of care and upkeep on your end, or else Hell House will come for you too. Stay safe. So my brother talking about his bedroom reminded me why I didn't want that bedroom. Because when I was a young child, I used to go and play in that room because my grandmother, when I was a kid, used to use it as kind of like a storage room of all of my aunt's old things, because my aunt moved far away and left all of her things behind. So all of her stuff was in that back room. And when I was a kid, I would play back there, and at night times, several times, I would see this fire in the forest, like that. Far away, a small fire, and it, just like the window would pull my brother to it, it would also pull me to it. And whenever I pointed the fires out to my mom, she stopped letting me play in that back room, because that was the only room that had access to any windows that a child could climb up to the back. So you'll find out what those fires were later. This story has to go in a proper order, you see, but that reminded me that I saw several times fires glowing in the forest behind the back room when I was a wee. Good morning. What an interesting question. Yes, absolutely. I think I learned a lot. I have more experience with hauntings than anyone else that I know. I have more experience with demonic entities than anyone else that I know. It spearheaded me into a lifetime of learning in the spiritual realms. I became a high priestess thanks to it. I have helped many people find comfort in their homes and lessen the activity in haunted homes. And I have a shit ton of really awesome stories to tell. Like, I could be upset that I went through all of this and my family went through all of this, or I could see it as a blessing, because if I could go back and just spend a day in Hell House in time, I absolutely would. I wouldn't go back now. It's gotten much worse than it was when I was there. But when I lived there, it was absolutely a very important learning experience for me. I grew balls in that house. And without that house, I wouldn't have learned even an inch of what I know now. So yeah, it was terrifying, but without it, I wouldn't be the person that I am today, and I wouldn't have nearly the skills that I have that are required for me to help people in the way that I do. So, and not to mention, I'm here being able to entertain all of you with this scary, stupid shit that happened to me. So, it has great value to me. And I'm very blessed to have experienced all of this, even if it sucked. Have a great day. You know, when I started telling Hell House stories, most people didn't believe me. But I've been able to garner enough people who remember what happened and enough proof and anecdotal evidence that it feels really good now to have people actually see these things and respond the way I did, which is, WTF, what is happening? Instead of, you're lying. Because I promise you I'm not. This stuff really did happen, and I would not waste my breath on telling you guys some paranormal evidence if it wasn't true. I hold that extremely important and dear to my heart. You don't lie about paranormal evidence. So, yeah, this place is still evil, still active, and still trying to get me. And I'm really glad y'all are here with me on this fun little adventure that I'm doing back into Hell House. Another thing that my brother's interview reminded me of was whenever my radio started going off, look a few stories back to see what I'm talking about, my mom told me about a story that happened to her in her bedroom, which was the back room, my brother's room. When she was a child, that was her room, and she had a handheld radio that she had to take all of the batteries out of and keep all the batteries out of because it would turn on the same, and it scared her so bad that she kept it in her drawer with a bunch of clothes. And that got me and my brother talking. And didn't you say that you had seen something like that?
What?
Oh, with your bedroom and the
Oh, yeah.
radio.
Whenever we were clearing all those rooms out, there was a radio in, I think, like the top dresser that was in my room at the time, and I took it out, and it was the cord was all wound up around it, and Mom came up to me and said, like, "Oh, hey, that's one of my old radios. I always had to unplug that thing and then stuff it in there because it'd keep making noise."
Yeah, so we both experienced Mom's shoving of radios in drawers in different ways. Mine was a story, and he actually found a radio. So nothing terribly paranormal happened in that story, but I did think of it and wanted to share it with you because your radios don't belong in your undie drawer.